going to call to order today's committee meeting of the Finance Committee of the City Council of Jackson, Mississippi. And so today, colleagues, first of all, hope everybody's making proper preparations for what looks like it's going to hit us pretty hard today. And hopefully we can handle our city's business and have all the information necessary so that we can make a decision. Colleagues, I want to start by opening this meeting in honor of now the late Frankie Beverly. Before I let go, we are one, back in stride, golden time of the day, joy and pain, happy feelings, and Southern Girl. Frankie Beverly is a renowned artist. One of the things that's historic about Frankie Beverly is a lot of people, some now since 1994, can't distinguish if the Sonic Booms of the South's theme song is either Get Ready or Before I Let Go. And as a former member of the Sonic Boom of the South, we pride ourselves off of learning the songs of Frankie Beverly, knowing how to score them, and also Mr. Harley, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And so just want to just say on behalf of the City of Jackson, best wishes to his family. Are there any other openings? All right.
Well, as long as we're going to
Yes.
honor people, we need to honor native of Arca Butler, Mississippi, James Earl Jones.
Yes, yeah.
One of the most famous voices in the world.
Yeah, I went and watched Lion King the night he passed. Yeah, Mufasa. Yeah. All right, thank you so much, colleagues. Colleagues, as we start this, I want to, before we get the resolution approving the municipal budget for this fiscal year on the floor to start our amendments, I want to ask for your consideration to take a motion to add an emergency item to the agenda in this committee, to be voted out of this committee and added to the special meeting that we have today. And basically, colleagues, it's orders of the City Council of Jackson, Mississippi, preventing any administration, department head, or employee of the City of Jackson from restricting, canceling, or decreasing the full viewable access of all budget information, including expense and revenue reports, cash reports, encumbrances against all city accounts, and all information pertaining to the budget of the City of Jackson and any network software and or record kept. And you have this, and I think that it is important that we do this just not for where we are and where we sit, but to protect the future of anyone that may sit in these seats. You should have it in your packet. And if there's an appetite at this time for that, I would take a motion in a second to add it to the agenda.
Just to lay where folks are still coming in, and just mention September 11th and
Yes.
And
yes,
the devastation. Everyone has their stories on where they were, when they were, what they were doing. And a month before, I had been at the Pentagon on duty, and I had folks chasing me around asking if I was still there, family members and stuff. But it was absolutely devastating to our country, and we can't go back. We have to stay united. We have to stay alert, and we have to, again, just keep everyone in our prayers. The victims, and they continue to suffer. Look, we just got to be better prepared. And so I just wanted just to reflect on that.
Yes, sir. Councilman Hartley, since this is September 11th, I appreciate you for bringing it out. I think that it is befitting that we pause for a moment of silence in honor of those that have lost their lives and the sacrifices by men and women across the country in response to 9/11. If we would, just please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you, colleagues. All right, so at this time, if there's appetite, I'll take a motion in a second to get this added to the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All right, so we're moving properly second that we add to the agenda orders of the City Council of Mississippi preventing any administration, department head, or employee of the City of Jackson, Mississippi from restricting, canceling, or decreasing the full viewable access of all budget information, including expense and revenue reports, cash reports, encumbrances against all city accounts, and all information pertaining to the budget of the City of Jackson on any network software or record kept. All in favor?
Well, I got a
Okay,
Can we talk about it?
yeah, we got a motion second, yes, sir.
So, then reading through this for the first time, it says, whereas the city council, this is the second whereas the city council of Jackson agrees that it shall have access to all budget information anytime members desire to make all required and presented decisions. Should that in other words, what if we said instead of that, the council and its clerks are the people that work for the council? Don't they need access to it too?
Yeah, so let's do this, let's get it added to the agenda, and then, once we get on the floor, if there's a
Oh, I
proposal.
thought, okay.
Yeah, we gotta get it added to the agenda.
Okay.
All in favor of adding it to the agenda? All right, that is unanimous vote, 5-0 of all committees. And let the record reflect that we do have a full quorum of this committee. All right, if the clerk would get it on the floor.
Ordinance of the City Council of Jackson, Mississippi, preventing any administration, department head, or employee of the City of Jackson from restricting, canceling, and/or decreasing the full viewable access of all budget information, including expense and revenue reports, cash reports, encumbrances against all city accounts and all information pertaining to the budget of the City of Jackson on any network, software, or record kept.
So move.
Second.
All right, it's been moving properly second. Councilman Foot.
Yeah, so I understand what we're trying to accomplish here. I just want to make sure the ordinance accomplishes what we want it to accomplish.
Yes, sir.
And that we're not trying to open it up to anybody anywhere. We're just trying to open it up to the council and the people that work on the clerks that work for the council, correct? Isn't that, I mean, I don't.
Yeah, perhaps if we add office, city of council's office, and that would
Well,
include.
whatever the proper terminology should be, whether we do it up here in the title or down in one of the whereases, that the City Council of Jackson agrees that the council and its clerks should have access to all budget information. Would that?
Yeah.
Accomplish that?
To be, Mr. Banks?
Yes.
I thank you, Mr. Foote. I think that is a very good suggestion. I'm wondering if we should say the city council and the office of the clerk of the council.
Okay.
That would be very formal, and that would be very all-encompassing, I believe,
All right.
of what we need.
All right, we have that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, you got that? All right. All in favor of the amendment?
Councilman Banks?
Yep. Hold on. All right, item is on the floor as amended. Dr. Omar?
I'm not an accountant, but I have been in administrative positions where financial information is important to the operation. We know that city municipal finance is under constant scrutiny and attack by people who would like to have access for nefarious purposes. One of the best practices is that you limit who has access to your financial systems to those who are absolutely necessary. And I just want the council to be aware that what they are proposing with regards to all these people having access to the financial system puts the security of our financial system at jeopardy. You certainly have the right to do this. However, I also think that it is moving precariously. Well, I think you've already moved beyond the boundaries between the separation of what you do legislatively and budget-wise into the domain of the executive, the chief executive branch. You've done that on a number of occasions, which to me implies that really the constitutionality of most of your actions don't really matter to you. But I just want to go on the record as saying that the administration has warned you about this intrusion into the executive branch and about the jeopardy that you are proposing to the security of our system.
Yeah, Councilman Foot.
Yeah, okay, so my question would be, on the Munis system, who actually has authority to move money through the Munis system, or is it not moved through the system at all? I mean, so we're just looking at it, we're not asking for permission to, move money in or out. Who actually has the authority? How's that, I guess it's the finance department, when money's actually moved from one area who's in charge of that?
Yeah, Councilman Foot, so there are various levels of access that employees have. So you do have, and I'll use an example just within the city council, right? The clerk has access to the city council's financials with regards to, initiating payments, right? They can do that. You do have others from within various departments that would not have the same privilege, right? So you can have someone from, let's say, Parks and Recreation, right, to initiate a payment for the city council, right? So there has to be a separation. Similarly, I think you ask who can move money.
Yeah, I would think that would be very restricted to only a few people,
Yeah.
but I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, so I think in its simplest terms, you have what you call view only, right?
Yeah.
Where you don't have the ability to initiate, any payments whatsoever. So that's a view only. And then you do have, others within departments that have abilities to do certain things, right? Whether it's to initiate purchase orders and nothing beyond. So there are different levels of access.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm interested in is view. I'm not, I don't think we want council members to be able to move money around at all. I think it needs to be just a handful of people for security reasons.
Yeah, and to that note, any clerk that has access, just like there are procedures and policies throughout the city, we can have those clerks sign confidential and disclaimers or whatever is necessary to do that. And I think it's a fair notion to say that any employee, as we have seen, based on things that have happened throughout this city, can misinform, misuse former employees through other fraudulent activities. I mean, any employee is subject to do it. And so it's important that we tighten up all the way around. Council President?
Yes, thank
And
you.
then Mr. Hartley, after you.
I just wanted to reassure Dr. Omori, I know that we're just now getting this and seeing it, but this says that this is viewable access only. So we would not, we would not have the security clearance, so to speak, to actually be able to tamper with anything. It would just be viewable access, so we can monitor the budget throughout the year.
Which?
That's in, be it therefore resolved, the full viewable access. And so that is spelled out in here. But Mr. Banks, you bring up a point that's worth considering for a minute, and that is, does there need to be something, since, we get all Datamora and this lives on, do we need to add something in here that addresses the security aspect of this?
I think the concerns of Dr. Omari are valid, and I think they're valid all across the city, everywhere.
I agree.
And so I think that if we say something to the effect, I don't know how to word it, but something to the effect with disclaimer or something that will be
No,
there.
it would have to be, you said it, you said, I'm sorry to
I forgot
interrupt,
what
but
I
you
said.
said, they would have to sign some sort of,
Confidentiality,
or not to disclose or something like that.
yeah. So if y'all could hold up real quick, go ahead. Mr.
Yeah, several things. One is that I think we can sign any additional documents that we feel as though will help prevent any type of security breaches. And if there's not security breaches already with the number of city employees that have it, then why are we looking at a security breach for folks that are supposed to be honorable up here? My concern is this, we are the stewards of the taxpayers' money. We get nailed every day on our priorities with the city. You know, the open dumping, the abandoned properties. We need to know that we have enough resources and budget for that. It's taxpayers' money. It's not ours. It belongs to the taxpayers. Case in point, we asked that there be $700,000 put in for potholes. That money was over somewhere out in Never Never Land. Meanwhile, I'm getting nailed because of potholes. We need some kind of access. We are the stewards of the taxpayers' money. We have that responsibility. We should have viewable access, and we can figure out the legalese and the confidentiality later on. We can talk to the lawyer and put down something that would prevent any type of security concern. But right now, our concern is meeting the money to the priorities. Thank you.
All right, consider this, colleagues. Whereas the clerk of council shall enforce a confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement with council members and clerks granted access.
So non-disclosure.
Is that the right word? Would that be the right word?
Mr.
Yes.
Be able to talk about it if it's money for potholes.
Well, no, we could talk about it. Maybe there's some agreement about it. I think the concern may be the release to media outlets and outlets outside of the city. I think that is the concern.
Which information? I mean, if we, individual salaries available in the community, we don't want to
What?
That's public information, everybody can have access to that.
to the salaries?
Yes.
Is that right?
Can we use mics, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Councilman Foot.
Sorry, I apologize.
Go ahead, President Lindsay.
I just wanted to say that perhaps we don't need to overthink this at this point, and let's just get it out of committee and whatever we need, we can, Mr. Hartley is probably correct, that we just move forward with the intent of this at this moment, and we can move on to the budget at hand.
Yeah, and I want to thank the CFO for making sure that we got full access yesterday by 5 p.m. And Mr. Mellebecker, you're welcome. Mellebecker, you're welcome to speak to it if you want. But I think that it is a good show when there's all hands on deck and when we can work together. I'll give you a good example. We did ask a member of the Public Works teams right there at that podium, are we spending and using the money for potholes? And their answer was yes. We didn't have access all year. But then it came to this budget process, we found out that that money had not been spent at all, and we didn't know, and so I think it's important.
Question.
So, yes.
Call for question.
Yeah.
We need to go ahead and vote.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And let the record reflect that the question was called by Councilman Hartley. All right. Item passes, and it will roll up to the meeting today for the approval of the budget. All right. Let's go over amendments, colleagues. Oh, go ahead and get the budget. report.
Resolution approving and adopting a municipal budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second on this item. Any questions or comments? All right, colleagues, we have several amendments that have been made that we want to track and make sure that we are all in lockstep. And I think that it is important that we make sure that these account numbers and everything that we have moved things to or from are correct and that amounts are correct for proper reconciliation as we get ready to adopt this budget. So we have a total of, 29 amendments. They saw it. They saw it. They emailed it. I'll do this since it's a concern. The previous item that was passed, the answer is, what are legal thoughts about it? And it was emailed to Mr. Martin and Sandra.
I'm sorry, it's okay. Focused on this.
Sandra Moncure, Office of the City Attorney. We don't have any legal objection to the ordinance, as the council controls the purse strings and the votes to confirm the payment of invoices on the claim dockets at each meeting. We believe that you are entitled to any financial records. The budget is public information anyway. If the public requests the information, we will have to release it. I understand that you all don't want anybody intentionally releasing information you haven't requested, but it's still public information, so we really don't have any objection to any of it.
All right, thank you. All right, going back to the amendments, amendment number 1, Zurich American Insurance Settlement, 1.5 million endowment for libraries for future expansion, 1.5 million for Tisdale Library, which I believe is at Chastain. All right, and colleagues, stop me if during these amendments there are any question. Amendment 2, Zurich American Insurance Settlement, $820,000 used for Fire Station 22 and Fire Station 24 for $70,000 and 911 buildings, $750,000. All right, so let me read this right. A total of $820,000 used for Fire Station 22 and Fire Station 24 for $70,000 and 911 building for $750,000. All right. Amendment 3, $300,000 for building repairs to include but not limited to HVAC, roofs, plumbing, bathrooms, small electrical, Wi-Fi, etc., and $1.3 million for Grove Park repairs, which is a total of $1.6 million. I'm sorry, I'm following, yeah, this one. Yep, I'm on the, just turn to the second one.
Because if you, based on the Zurich page, I'm confused by, you got amendment 1, then amendment 2, and then. So
Your mic.
Well, I was looking at the proposed Zurich settlement, and it's got amendments listed, but it's got them listed multiple times. It's confusing to me. But I'll go to the page,
Yeah.
this page here.
Yeah, if you look at,
Clerk of Council.
yeah, if, because it has amendment 1.122.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm just reading off of.
All right.
This, all right. 1.5 million for capital outlay, account 047453006812, building public works. Councilman Foot moved, that's total 2 million, and with, $2,051,831, in which $551,831 is proposed for fiscal year 24-25. Building repairs to include, but not limited to HVAC, roofs, plumbing, bathrooms, small electrical, Wi-Fi, etc. Baseball fields, I think this is an additional $150,000, which brought everything up to $2 million for Parks and Rec. Um,
In about 20 minutes.
Grass cutting, amendment number 7. I think that amendment was $2,362,795 from Fund 31 to Fund 372, Professional Service 6419. I think that on this one, we need to amend to change the amount to reflect the correct number for Public Works, or is that the correct number we approve?
It says in parentheses that it was fixed in another amendment.
It was fixed in another amendment. All right, I'll keep going. Thank you. Amendment number 8, chipping and grinding, $1,075,000 from ARPA to Fund 391 to set up account for chipping and grinding and closing a current sale and purchase of scale and site construction. Amendment number 9, to fund Human Resource Department with $45,175 out of IT vacant positions and reimburse the general fund where the money was taken originally. Amendment number 10, to inactivate the administrative clerk position to fund the voter roll. Other professional service per clerk, general fund 0014280, which is $32,238.60. And that goes against that 530. Is that correct? Sharon, amendment number 10, that 32,000, that goes toward the whole 539,000 that is needed for the election in 25? Just want to make sure. If you verify, just let me know. And but it goes toward the half a million for her office, right? Okay, all right. And so if somebody, I think we would need a calculation, because the whole thing is, as of right now, in fund balance, or coming against fund balance. So we would need the calculation of what's left, or what would be coming from that position, and what her office would be taking out of fund balance. All right, maybe 500,000 even or something like that, I don't know. All right, Amendment 11, the money left over for the position in the mayor's office, 3% increase, $48,413.
This is incorrect. I voted against that. It says, it's got me down as a yay. I voted against that. I mean, I didn't change the outcome, but if you could strike the foot up there in yays and put it down in the nays.
All right, clerk.
Okay.
All right, so basically this is the money left over from the position to give mayor's office a 3% increase. In other words, there was additional monies left over from that increase. Is this how am I reading that right? And with that additional money, we placed that money in the legal department for state lobbyists. All right. Parks and Recreation, to increase the Parks and Recreation to improve lighting at parks, $270,000, and planning and development, $1.5 million for the outdoor event space using Zurich funds. Sanitation, to fund sanitation salary increases in solid waste, $89,000. All right, this is amendment number 13.
Page 4.
Page 4, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Using ARPA funds, but then that was with the understanding that these were one-time monies, but based on presentation, the chip and grinding and the scales will generate revenue, and because it hadn't been operating, it's going to generate the revenue for you all to be able to run that enterprise. Amendment number 14, I think the motion in second was withdrew. And that was, President Lindsay, to take the budget expenses in the budget book related to animal control, to move into a privatized area, which I think we held off for more study and research. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right, amendment number 15.
So there is no Amendment 14 then?
No, there is no amendment 14, and I'm just recalling everything to everybody's memory. Amendment number 15 was withdrew as well, and that was to increase salaries from fund balance to general fund. Am I reading that right? Starting at 50. Nevertheless, it was withdrew. I can't remember the reason why it was withdrew. Police used in vacancies, it was a $654,000 request. Vacancies equaled 562,000 approximately. The total needed was $91,814, and we moved $91,814, which will come from fund balance in this amendment to help deal with JPD.
I got a question, Mr. Bank.
Hold on, because some of these, we had amendments that came after that,
Okay,
that readdressed it,
because this doesn't say what the money's going to be used for. It just says it
the raises,
moved. What?
to achieve the raises in the police department.
Oh, okay, but it doesn't say anything in the amendment about it.
So I think,
All right,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, they were just kind of giving me a summary to announce the amendments.
Okay.
All right. Amendment number 17, Public Works Infrastructure Salaries, President Lindsay, moved from ARPA funds to Fund 1, $330,000 for infrastructure raises. All right. That was also with giving understanding. One of the things that we understand is that the sanitation side is enterprise. Infrastructure is not. But we did understand and took the risk because you didn't want to have CDL drivers at different scopes within the area. All right, so that means the next year there's still working throughout this year, there's work to find that money in perpetuity. All right. Amendment number 18, to create separate line item within Fund 376, total $861,000 to be used for the following: flock safety license plate reader cameras, total $96,000; Safe City camera, total $775,000; and Cologic public safety software, totaling $635,515. And vehicle towing, $50,000, totaling $861,000. Amendment number 19, this is Siemens Fund 376 to allocate $50,000 to repair a bucket truck using Fund 376. That bucket truck, that's fire, right? Fire department? Okay, all right. Amendment number 20, to allocate funds for city legal salary increases and 3 attorneys in the amount of $299,978,700. I guess it's 78 cents. It says 785. Yes,
So where does the money come from?
using the insurance line in risk management.
We had $300,000 extra in that.
400.
We had 400,000 extra. That's because the premium wasn't as big or something like that?
We-
What that
You
was?
want to speak to that real quick? Mr.
Yes,
Miller?
the renewal for this year
Uh-huh.
did decrease by
Okay.
approximately 400,000.
Okay,
Yes.
thank
All
you.
right. Where's the quarters, Mike? All right, make sure, let's give it to Sharon. Sharon, you had something on that?
Sharon Timms, Deputy CFO. I just wanted to make sure that the record reflects that $282,000 of that was for salaries. The $17,000, remember, was for their dues and membership for their professional training.
All right, but yeah, Thank you, thank you. But it all goes into legal, but legal will separate it. All right. Are you separated for legal? Okay, y'all did? Okay, all right. Clerks, y'all got that 17,000 some odd dollars is for the membership and dues. All right. Amendment number 21, to allocate funds for code enforcement salaries in the amount of 465,000 from 44,120. Say that again? 419? Because we got down here, need account number. Long as y'all got it, just make sure we get it, all right? All right, the next one was to allocate funds for code enforcement salaries in the amount of $288,729, from 44240. And then, of course, y'all, finance will provide that account number. Amendment 22 to allocate funds for Livingston Park improvements, amphitheater, in the amount of $500,000 from Fund 376. Amendment 23 to allocate funds for information technology to repair fiber in the amount of $38,000 from 376. Amendment 24 to defund 25 vacant positions to give raises to fire employees in the amount of $1,321,161. Amendment 25 to allocate funds from fund balance in the amount of $271,729.47. That's in perpetuity to go toward raises for the fire department. Y'all do? Okay. Okay, but you'll call in. Okay, all right. We're at the end of this, we should get to moving pretty quickly here. Amendment 26 to allocate funds from 376 in the amount of $32,500 for vehicle damage. That's in fire.
We need clarity on that one.
Which one? 26?
Yep, we had another vehicle in the amount of 50,000, if I'm not mistaken. And then we talked about supplies, so we weren't sure. I wrote down vehicle damage, because I think that's what you said. But I think it's where supplies and materials.
Did we get Chief Owens' information on supplies?
Yeah, so they actually had a folder, and in that, 50,000 was for the truck, right? And the 32 and change was for the supplies.
All right, so did we make all those amendments? We did? Okay. Grass cutting to allocate funds from 376 in the amount of 418,000 to fund.
It's your correction from earlier.
That's corrected. That's corrected. All right, so we corrected it. All right, cool. Fund 28 to allocate funds from 376 in the amount of 826,502 to building capital outlay. And the clerks need the account number from 6812-2. They need the account number. And fire to allocate funds from 44,240 in the amount of $137,270 to fire salary increase. Need that account number. That's it.
We've
Those are
given those
amendment-
numbers, Mr. Banks, to Shanikia. She has those corrections.
Okay, she does. All right, all right. So now let's move to going through some of these. First of all, finance, is there anything that we need to correct based on these account numbers or anything in these amendments that we've done?
Yes, with number 10, Angela had requested that y'all not cut her budget. If you remember, she had asked that that money be used to supplement as an addition, move that position down there for, at least for this year, till we get through the election. I'm just saying, that's what she had
Are there
asked.
any corrections in the amendments that were already made by this body?
I just wanted to make that clear.
I got it. All right. Let's go real quick to IT. Mr. Miller Baker, do you have a recommendation to this body on IT?
So, one, the IT department did supply some information in terms of what was requested. And as we've had some discussions, we talked about the publications division,
Yes.
perhaps being placed under communications.
Yeah, no, and colleagues, well, no, before, I think we would need a motion. I think the thing is the best way to do it, because I have the confidence in, communications person, to do all of this. And I think that it's important that, one, our departments are doing their printing and everything and not outsourcing it. I mean, I think that she does the newsletter and provides it with these, I don't know who does your designing, but from my understanding, there's a lot of complaints about the current designing now, but I think that you have the expertise to do that. By ordinance, let me ask this question. By ordinance, there is a, ordinance reads, there shall be a Department of Constituent Service and Communications. If we're going to make a move, do we prop her up into a director's position? And we still have, because we never resent that ordinance, so that ordinance is still, so that it's still there. That would be publications, communications, constituent service, it will all be one, and then it will get all of that funding. What's the recommendation on the best way to do that? Sharon, anyone?
Oh,
The question was, how would we move? We would need an amendment from you guys to move it from telecommunications to, but you got to create the department.
All right, now the department's already created by ordinance. You would just have to put the line back.
Yes,
You
whoever you
just have to
move,
put the
whoever
finances
you
back.
move in that department, we will have to move all of that, the salary, I mean, if it's going to be
Everything
Ms. Melissa,
her.
we'll move all of them.
And then at some point, she'll be brought to us for confirmation. Okay. Colleagues, how do you feel about that?
This is, it's currently in IT.
Mhm.
I got some issues with IT to begin with. I was wondering if we might need to go into executive session to talk about personnel.
Well,
We've got a huge turnover in personnel in IT. That is, with discussion.
I think with the publications part, this will help. I think it aligns. Do you want to speak to your vision if this was under you? How you? Give her time. I mean, I know we had some conversations in passing, but I mean, basically what you know, there's printing of shirts, embroidery. They could do tent. I'm just learning that a lot of stuff that can be done. And, you know, the communications, to be able to streamline everything in one department, I think works. The other stuff, Councilman Foote, we can deal with later.
Okay.
All right. Did you want to say anything? I think it would be nice.
I don't know.
We work closely with publications, and they do our newsletter, but they do a lot of things, and it would be nice for the other departments within the city to actually utilize publications and maybe not outsource as much. And that would bring revenue in, and also possibly monetizing publications, because, you know, they do shirts, they do cups, they do a lot of things that I didn't know that they did. So we could work with them to not only make the city departments know, but also other entities within the city know that, you know, the city of Jackson may be a resource that they could use to utilize for printing and creating different objects, shirts and signs and cups and all those things. So I'd be eager to work with them, and it'd be nice to have more people up under the Department of Communications to get more things out. graphics and to help us push things out to the residents of the city of Jackson.
Mr. Rebecca, you mentioned briefly one of the desires maybe to do a storefront.
Yes, that's correct. I think, just in addition to streamlining, these items that that get outsourced, streamlining that to ensure that departments do utilize our publications division. One, we realize cost savings, but secondly, on the revenue, from a revenue aspect, we can really monetize the operations. And so if I think, would need to be situated in a very accessible area where not only city departments, but, outsiders, right, can come in and procure services
Yeah.
from publications. And I think that will be able to generate revenue in a way that it would actually support its own operations.
Yeah, I just feel like if Melissa Fay Payne can get in there and, I think that what happens is, like, for example, we got National Night Out coming up. A lot of these neighborhoods go out and print their own stuff. But if there was a design for all communities where they could come, I think all of that stuff helps. So, Finance, could you give some guidance on what that amendment would look like? I'm sure it would be, go ahead.
Are you referring to the financials or the ordinance?
What does the ordinance say?
So, based on what you just mentioned, we will need to amend the ordinance, section 2-336. Section 9, the constituent services and information.
That's what it is. Why did I say
It
communication?
does mention publications.
Oh, it does?
It does mention publications. The Division of Action Line, PEG, publications, public relations, and quality of life and related duties shall be under this department. However, information technology, section 11, states that the Department of Information Technology shall perform all the function of information technology, information systems, the Office of Publications and Telecommunications.
So we got conflicting ordinances, basically, right? So we would need to strike it out of information technology in the future. It sounds like, because the one for constituent service and information, what is it called? What is it called by ordinance?
Constituent service and information.
All right, what exists in there currently based on the ordinance?
So you have the department serves as a conduit for the city council, department heads, employees, and citizens. Site visits and Action Line PEG, all of that, publication.
So, but it does have
public
publications there.
relation, it does, but
All
not
right.
the Office of Publication. I don't know the difference.
I don't know if legal can look at that, I don't know if it's much difference between publications and the Office of Publications. Because office kind of speaks to it being a separate entity. I think it's just publications now. I don't know if it's much difference. So at some point, we could just take it out of information technology. Give us guidance on how we
Yeah,
make that
that's what
amendment.
I was saying, that we would need to do an amendment because I know it's under them. So,
Well, it's
and I
actually
think-
under both.
Well, yeah, but I think the publications under constituent services talking about publication of information, where this is actually an Office of Publications where we could,
So we will put all right, so give us we'll make that amendment to the ordinance. Give us guidance as far as the budget, how we put that.
you know,
Basically,
and we'll work with legal to make sure we have all that lined
all
up.
right, all right. So is there an amendment we need to make now?
If you're going to move it, you need to at least make the amendment to move it from, to me, IT. I'm looking at something, because it is actually under the direction of IT right now. So would we not need to amend it to take it out from under them?
Yeah, we just need to strike for the IT ordinance. Okay, all right. Is that something that we can do at the meeting at 2? Or we need to try to hash out now. That's what I'm trying to get to. All right. So, is there a motion?
Mr. Banks, I move that, well, I don't have the ordinance.
Let me ask you this.
in front of me.
Sharon, does that number still exist somewhere in the system for the Department of Constituent Service and Information?
Yes, the fund, the numbers that was assigned to it before would just be reactivated.
All right, so would the budgetary amendment would be just to put that money into that fund line?
Yes, you'll have to make an amendment to move it out of IT into that fund line.
All right, you gonna give us whatever those fund lines are. All right, so there's your motion.
Did you get that, clerk?
So
All right.
basically, there's a fund line that exists for constituent service and, I keep wanting to say communication, but it's information, already. She will have to get you that number, but basically what you're saying is you're taking the publications portion from under IT and funding said department. Communicate, constituent service and information. We're gonna have to change that name.
So moved.
Second. It's been moving properly second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item carries. And then we will, oh, and Councilman Hartley,
Aye.
did you say aye?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye, yes.
that's 5. All right,
That's 5. All right.
okay. And everything else we'll just deal with the ordinance as soon as possible. And then whatever insight you have in that, all right. Now we're dealing with the other part of IT.
Mr. Banks?
Yes,
Mr. Foote says he has some concerns that he'd like to discuss about IT, but he's suggesting that maybe we have to go into executive session to do that. I would like to hear if he can say just generally what his concerns are before we have to spend the time going into executive session. I do have a meeting at 11 o'clock that I cannot
gotcha.
change.
Well, maybe we need to talk this about another time. There's been huge turnover, my understanding, in the IT department over the past year or so. And before we start adding more money in, I'd like to, have a discussion on, why we've had all this turnover. Were there exit interviews done? That sort of information we need to make so we know we're well informed on the subject.
All right, go, Council
I'm not even
President.
clear, Mr. Malinbecca, on what we're considering about IT today. I mean, I know they've been before us several different times with several different proposals, but I'm not real sure what we're considering today regarding IT. And I know I've got this document that, but I need it, at this point in time, after all these meetings, I need it pretty simple.
Yeah, so just, I think very quickly, so there were some requests that was made to the IT department. If you remember, they were asked to provide what would be a wish list, right? And they provided the cost for that. And the question was, how do you fund that? And I did respond actually to say, I think those requests should be funded from, vacant salaries. So the first one was, I think, $200,000 for feasibility study. We've talked about monetizing our dark fiber. In working with our federal lobbyists and our grants division, the funding that would go after does require a feasibility study, right, which is about $200,000. So if we were to move forward with that, we could use a portion of the vacant salaries. There was a request for computer hardware and software.
Let me go back, let me ask this question. The feasibility study, is that paid for all at once, or is it broken up?
So I don't have the details, right, whether it's paid all at once or it's over a course of time.
That would help.
Yeah, I've not been on a call. I know a federal lobbyist has been on the, I think, my biweekly calls. Yeah, so anyway, we can find out. Yeah.
But you're saying we could use the 200,000 from the vacancies?
From
Okay,
vacancies.
we got that figured out.
Right.
All right.
The other portion, computer hardware, software, as we stated, Fund 4, Technology Fund, has been strained and has not been able to accommodate a lot of requests that come forth. And so, and I know President Banks, Chairman Banks had mentioned that even the City Council had to allocate some funds, right, to address the technology needs. What we can do is use a portion of vacant salaries to put in the tech fund that can address some of the needs that departments have. The other one was around salaries, right? There was a version that was provided with extremely high salaries, which was comparing with Memphis. But that's not, what we need to fund. What we have to look at is under the new regulations that went into effect July 1 and also January 1st, the overtime exemption rules, where there's, if someone is to function as an exempt employee, they have to meet the minimum salary threshold. Otherwise, they'll be eligible for overtime. Some folks in IT work odd hours, right? When things go down, they might be up all night, all day. And so to avoid the unknown of what overtime would be, right, you would maintain those as exempt employees. It's a flat salary, right? They get to work around the clock. And so there was, I think, a portion from vacant salaries that could accomplish that.
Whomever A is, if you would mute. Or can we mute them? All right. Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
Yeah. So if we were to accomplish that, right, again, we would look at vacant salaries. Yes.
All right. Okay, so I guess what I'm not seeing, I guess what I'm not seeing, follow up, Mr. Banks, is what is the vision for IT for next year?
Yeah, and I know, the director would be most suited to discuss that. I think there was a plan, right, in the presentation of what the IT department wants to accomplish, and next fiscal year. And I don't have that in front of me. There was a list of things that were priorities. So I don't know if you have a copy of that. It was towards the end, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the same document we're talking about.
Yeah. Looking at this, we have stated issues, I think citywide, when monies has been appropriated, and there's a vision, I guess, to deal with the monies appropriated, but then not even 50% of them be used within a fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you leave money on the table and come back and say, well, I need more money to accomplish more goals. But I don't even see where there was the use or the encumbrance of what we actually set aside the last fiscal year. And so I think that that speaks to some of the concern that the colleagues have. In your opinion, does IT work better as a separate department or put back within the structure of, and we don't really function as a Department of Finance Administration, we more so have a revamped version of a CFO's office that handle these things. How do you feel about that? Is a function, but as a department, or more so under your office, and it's still under your office?
Yeah, because then that's one thing I was going to state, right? It's still, it's under my office. With IT, there are very specific and unique skills that are needed, right, to manage that. And part of what we attempted to do was to begin looking at a mixture of consultancy, right? Folks that can help us really do a good diagnosis of the technology needs for the city and also the proper function. Is one thing that we would need to incorporate. But certainly, whoever is managing the different aspects of the IT divisions there, it does require some very unique skill sets. And I think Councilman Fucci had mentioned that, and that's why you requested to look at comparable salaries. So, because again, as you think about IT, right, you have IT engineers, right? That's the very unique skill set as well. And so ideally, I think we'll need to look at a mixture.
Question, on this front page, the Department of IT handout here, it shows vacant salaries, $573,000. Okay, so I assume that's where we stand right now, where the organization is. They have salaries that aren't being paid out of $573,000. So this next listing shows system manager, and they want to hire two. Are those people that are already there, they're going to be classified as a system manager, or are those two slots that they're trying to fill?
Yes, so those should be the vacant positions, right? Those are the titles of
Okay.
The various vacancies.
Okay, so
Yes.
they're trying to fill those two. Now, so
Well, no, so,
Oh.
right, this is what I talked about, giving up those vacancies to
Oh, these are-
fund the different objectives, whether it's
Oh, okay,
feasibility
so-
study.
So we've got, these slots here are vacant, and you're just going to eliminate them?
Yes.
Okay, I see. But you're still trying to hire an executive office coordinator and a business systems analyst, I assume? It just says hiring. I didn't know whether that meant you're trying to hire them?
Right, so that was a proposal. In terms
Oh.
of what's needed is
Okay.
two positions to be added, or to be hired. But the other positions, are to be eliminated to fund the other
To come up with
requests.
this 573.
Yes,
And the 573 is going to be spent on,
so this feasibility study, computer,
phys-
hardware, software,
okay,
right, yes.
okay, thank you.
And I'll say this, I think for this fiscal year, and I'm going to look to the budget team, there are some expenses that came up that needed to be covered, and I believe they might have looked at some vacant positions. Did they ever use some of the vacant positions to pay some of the bills that came through? Okay.
So, during this fiscal year, they did use about
Say
190.
say your name for the record.
Sorry, Brandon Jackson, budget manager. During this fiscal year, they did use, I think, around $199,000 to pay bills and tech fund this year. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, so that's what happened, this fiscal year, but for next fiscal year is essentially, so you're reducing the IT department general fund, right?
Okay.
To go into tech fund. Right? So you're giving up those positions and
Okay.
it goes into tech fund to address citywide needs.
All right. Colleagues, is there anyone that want to speak to this? Or any idea on how we want to move with this? Or is this something, maybe the only thing we hold for the 2:00 meeting?
I'd rather us get everything out of committee.
Get everything out of committee? What are,
I mean, because Mr.
Thanks. I want to remind everybody that at 2 o'clock, our weather is probably going to be disintegrating.
okay,
So we need to keep in mind that more than likely, we're going to not have a ton of time
Yeah.
before it's going to get, not just for us, but for all the employees.
okay. you know, I guess where we are, you know, is do we take this department and rescind the ordinance creating a Department of IT and putting it directly under you? And maybe you do with what you see to do, or do we deal with this in another way? Or, you know, what in here is proposed are we going to amend? And if there are amendments, you know, then let's make them. But, you know, again, the concerning part to me is that there are items that were in her budget that, you know, it's just like, it's the same thing, just like the 700,000 sat there and it just sat there, wasn't used within the fiscal year, then there's requests for more. And so I get that and do that, but, you know, I'm tending to think if there's not an amendment now, that just give us have you really looked at all this?
So I know that was a different iteration with, they had to get some final numbers from.
Take some time and look at
Yeah.
this, because remember, that first time, you had people getting paid more than you and Dr. Omar getting paid in a presentation, so take some time and look at this and see if we can try again. Dr. Omar?
Thank you. I just want to say that this department was just created last budget season.
2 years ago.
Was it 2 years? I think you have to give the time for people to, well, I don't even want to comment on the personnel issue. I think we have to figure out how these things work and mesh with everything else in terms of a department. I think for the city not to have a specific IT department is a step backwards in today's technological world. I don't know that what Mr. Mallenbecker has kept specifically saying is a specific skill set. And I don't want to speak for him, but I think he was trying to say he don't want to manage IT, but because that's not his skill set. So I understand if there are concerns about how the department has functioned, but I don't want us to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think we can work through some of those things without eliminating the department.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Banks. Okay, so I haven't had time to digest all of this either. I mean, we'd asked for it by 8 o'clock Monday, and I'm really just now seeing it. All right, so bottom line on this, are we being asked to find more money, additional funds, and how much?
So, no. At first, that was a request, and I said, no, we'll do it internally.
Okay,
So that is really reducing the IT's budget for
Okay.
general fund and increasing the technology fund, which benefits the entire city.
It's doing it all internally? Oh, go
and
ahead.
you're doing it all internally, and we
Or-
have, because I am so tired of trying to fund money. I'm
Yeah.
exhausted by
Or
that.
internally, no excess money needed.
All right,
Right.
then, Mr. Banks, if they have managed to figure out how to do this internally, I think there's nothing else we need to do.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And what it would require, because you're now looking at different funds, right? And I think it could be done through appropriations, right?
What is
Lowering
this?
the appropriation from Fund 4 and, well, decreasing, so you're decreasing IT, general fund, right, budget, and then you lower your appropriation from tech fund. That, right, so that I think,
Can you get us specifically that
Yeah.
in writing real quick, or at some point? Give us specifically that. And Mr. Membeck, I think we, I looked at Mayor Scott's in Little Rock. His IT department, 11. But they handle everything, court services, everything they're dealing with, which sometimes we have micromanaged in other departments. It's all handled right there. So, just look at it. I want to move to some other amendments while he gets that, okay? These are amendments that are needed, all right? I want to go to stormwater.
Yes, sir.
Can we start? All right. So, and clerks, I have had opportunity to meet with our clerks to kind of go over these, so y'all help me provide guidance here, all right? So amendment needed is moving stormwater professional no.
We just need to correct the number on the previous amendment and redesign it, so it's okay.
So did we get the corrected numbers?
Yes.
So
What page are you on?
this is just a note for me to go by. It's not a page. It's not a page. This is a note specifically for me to go by.
Okay.
Yeah, and just giving guidance. So the stormwater, the moving the right-of-ways, cemeteries, and the public works, all that is taken care of.
And the millage. So it's going to be that 2.3, and we're going to correct it on Amendment 7.
All right.
Amendment 7.
Yes.
So we're going to, so that's going to be corrected and
Oh,
reflected
yes, Mr. Foote.
on Amendment 7.
Yes.
All right. We got that?
2.3.
So moved.
That's the number.
All right, and just to go over, and make sure we got it correct. Second. Any question or comments?
This is the Amendment 7 as it reads here.
Yes, sir.
What are we doing? Vote?
We're just correcting. We're going back and kind of fine tuning. So it basically $314,480 to stormwater professional service, right-of-ways, $609,000, cemeteries, $234,000, and the millage to public works, I believe that's right, $1.2 million, was for a total of $2.367,872,000. And we're just fine-tuning everything. So there's a motion second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
So this is, instead of the
Aye.
2.81, it goes down to 2.3?
Aye.
Yes, sir. All right. All right, that amendment is correct. All right. The next amendment is the municipal clerk's voter roll from fund balance. Now, from my understanding, it is not the total 539,000 now. It's what?
It is the total of 539,264. The 32,000 that was previous on the amendment, that is moving her position to professional services to assist with the upcoming election.
Okay, got you.
Oh, okay.
Got you. All right, so I need a motion from this, and this is just, we do this once every 4 years, so that municipal clerk voter roll 539,264 from fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moving properly second. Any questions or comments? Hold on.
Can we make sure that Councilman Foote doesn't have anything before we vote again?
I don't have any what?
He always wants to raise a question when hands go up.
All right. I got like 4 more to go, so we almost there.
Better hurry up.
Yeah, I am. Any questions, comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Commercial demolition. This amendment is to create a commercial line within planning for commercial demolition. $499,770 to come from Siemens, $893,000 to come from, I forget what fund number, but FEMA, and 1.3.
That's the total. You all have not decided.
All right. So that for a total of 1.392770 to go into, to create a line for commercial demolition within planning.
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments?
My one question is that I think there's lots of money out there to do commercial demolition once we get the task force to a point where we've developed trust with both HUD and the state, that we'll be able, we don't need to try to fund everything out of our money on commercial demolition.
Now-
Because once we develop the task force master plan, I think there'll be access to funds from other sources.
We
All
agree, Mr. Foote, and the point of this amendment is to create the budget line, so we'll have a place to put it.
Okay.
And then to fund it. And let me say this in
We
addition.
need to go after grants and other sources of money for that.
I believe that's going to happen, but let me say this. Out of the 45 commercial properties that are a nuisance, this handles only 6 or 7.
Seven.
This handles only 7 that have already been cleared by the courts. Because what we asked Mr. Keaton for is a list of those that had already been cleared by the courts that were ready for demo like now. And so that, this will cover that, all right? So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
We lost, is he still on?
His radio show starts.
Okay. Hartley, what say you? Councilman Hartley?
Councilman Hartley, say aye.
All right, and that's
Yes,
funding.
Councilman Hartley, say aye.
All right, got you. All right, this is what the number we don't have. We don't have this number, do we? Human and Cultural Service, did we get that? This is for planetarium employees? Is that my understanding?
Correct, but you all still needed to decide what to do with the planetarium salaries.
Oh, she's here. Hey, Ms. Scott, Dr. Scott. Where is, I know, okay, here it is. All right. I see the numbers. So the repairs, let me say this. And Mr. Lewis, right, is gone, but I think we put enough money into maintenance repairs to handle repairs citywide, right? Okay, so no need for the repairs on here. You have security. Just walk us through real quick.
Good morning, Dr. Scott, Human and Cultural Services, Director of Human and Cultural Services. So this right here is where we propose to move money from to address the issues that we had identified after it was determined
Okay.
that we would not receive any additional funds. So these are the lines where where we were proposing to move money from and to, and the amounts to address these issues that we've identified. So $25,000 for repairs.
Oh. You doing this all in your department, right? Have y'all checked this?
I did.
I mean, but I'm just trying to make sure it coincide, because really, we could just make a motion to accept this. Yep, I just want to make sure that these numbers, account numbers, y'all had a chance to look at it?
I'm looking at that now, so.
They got fiber and human and cultural
Oh.
services.
I mean, all your departments that have buildings off-site have fiber.
What's the $30,000 for if they've already got it?
Dr. Scott?
Chairman Banks, that is an addition at the bottom. It's a Hail Mary, if you will.
Hail
Request
Marys.
for
I love Hail
ARPA
Marys.
money to address
I like Hail Marys too.
our fiber issues.
Who's your receiver?
That's
who-
right.
No, we the quarterback. We throw it. Who gonna catch it? Who got some hands?
It's a final plea, because during one of the other hearings, I heard a question asked, like, what to do with ARPA money and what it could possibly be used for. And so I was asking administration and possibly council if there were any funds left for ARPA for broadband or anything related to internet.
So this fiber what specifically this is helping to run fiber to all your buildings? Tell me what the 30,000 does.
Well, $30,000 is for an estimate that we received for fiber for Smith Robinson alone.
Oh,
We were going to be able to find money elsewhere in our budget to address the individual senior centers with some solutions that IT had proposed to us that were more affordable than running fiber. But this specific facility, Smith Robinson Museum and Cultural Center, they need the fiber.
okay.
And it's going to service both the museum and the senior center because they're right there together.
All right.
Well, with the Jimmy Smith.
Okay. All right. I'm good with that. Is that, do we have that 30 left in, what fund? What fund is that 376?
It says ARPA money.
Is what, 90, we have that left in there? We should. That 30,000 should be left, huh? I think so. Okay, all right. Colleagues, I'm fine, I just need a motion.
That we accept this proposal by the Department of Human and Cultural Services.
Second. If there are any account numbers that need to be, you're gonna get that to us? All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Hartley?
Councilman Hartley, aye.
Thank you, sir. All right,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. All right,
Hail Mary.
we're gonna take the next,
Catholic up here.
the next amendment, Dr. Omari, is, and I know we have, our 7.5 cap with the fund balance, but we wanted to make sure that in cases of what we might be dealing with now, and this hadn't happened yet, so it's not in there, is to take $1 million from Fund 397 and set up an emergency fund specifically for storms. And I guess that will go in Public Works, and that'll be $1 million. Okay?
Yeah,
Fund 397,
right. Yeah, so, yeah, we'll have, that fund, and, for the purpose of tracking, expenses, would just be in that particular
yeah.
fund. Yes.
So you just gonna keep it there,
Yes,
but it's allocated for emergency use?
correct.
Okay, all right. Motion second?
So moved.
Second, all right. So that $1 million fund, not 397, will be used for emergency storm use. Any questions? Not emergency storm, but emergency fund for storms in the case of anything.
Setting aside existing FEMA, MEMA money to do that, right?
397 to 391? Oh, I'm sorry. So it's Fund 391. Yeah, all right. Any questions or comments? No. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Councilman Hartley, aye.
All right. The colleagues, what we have not discussed, and we can huddle and deal with this later, but the only thing we have not discussed was $770,529 in Grand Gulf. Yes.
Mr. Banks, does that need more consideration and more time to discuss? Or do you think there's a place to put that money right now?
I would prefer to get some input from Councilman Griselle and Councilman Hartley before I do anything with that.
That's my concern too.
Okay.
And there really hasn't been that much time to discuss that. Can y'all huddle up between now and 2 o'clock and get that done? Or is that something we can do later?
Councilman Hartley, Councilman Griselle, you think we can achieve that before this meeting, try to talk about Grand Gulf?
Sure.
All right. Councilman Hartley, what say you? All right, I'll take that as a yes. So the only thing we're waiting on is some information from IT?
No, we're done.
We did do IT. So we done?
Yes, sir. We
Okay. All in favor of the budget as amended?
Aye.
So it's out of committee, Mr. Banks?
Hartley? Let's do this. Can we mark technical difficulties? All right,
Mr. Banks?
yes.
Before I have to go, I just want to pause and say very quickly how much I appreciate the hard work of you and all of the finance people and Mr. Malumbeka and the administration. This has been a tedious budget process this year. We are very keenly aware of just how tight things are. And I am so grateful, though, that everybody was willing to come together, roll up their sleeves, and put in the hard work that it's taken to come up with a budget this year. So we'll see what happens at 2 o'clock.
Here, we will. And let me also, as chair, extend a special thanks to Mr. Malumbeka, Sharon, Erica, Drew, Drew. So 30 minutes or an hour before, depending, would come to the office and we would huddle up to make sure that we were all communicating and talking together. And that is a model I think that will work in the future, to have the opportunity to just kind of get those things hashed out so that we can kind of walk in lockstep. So I really appreciate that. And I'm excited. Anything else? All right, just go ahead.
Announcements for the 2 o'clock meeting. On the agenda will be listed the resolution to adopt the budget, the ordinance that you brought forth as an emergency today, and section 2-336 ordinance for publications.
Yes.
Okay, make sure.
We're gonna talk about the thing that Stokes brought up. Is that on the budget? Is that the meeting this afternoon?
It is on the agenda for now, Mr. Foote, but we're talking about specifically relating to the budget, what's on there.
She just wanted to make sure, yeah.
What about all Stokes amendments once we get there?
Well, we just all have to brace ourselves.
Thank God for the president chairing that meeting. All right, any other questions or comments? Listen, y'all, remember Frankie Beverly, we're gonna miss him, one of the best. And also James Earl Jones, Mufasa. All right.
Of Darth Vader.
All right, all that being said, this meeting is adjourned. All right, thank y'all.